many more bases and so much more income. That's really what keeps kills so in this game, because you'll notice every time the two of them start fighting, Light just decimates. So, you know, Light hardly seems to lose any units. You know, Zerg will run in, and a whole bunch of Zerg blood will fall on the ground, and yes, some Marines will die, but at the end, Light's still just standing there like, is that it? So, the only thing that So has going for him is that he's got enough income, and he's got enough, you know, production that he can just keep remaking these armies. He's going to have to do something smarter with them. This is why I say So isn't really all that good a player. I mean, I know he's not just A-moving, but he is, you know, it's like he just thinks if you build enough stuff, you'll eventually win. Which, hey, might work, but probably won't. Like here, he's got Ultras trying to run into that big old tank line by themselves, and you don't do that. You support Ultras with Zerglings. The Ultras did find the SCVs, though. There were some SCVs that were in the process of matrioting, but apparently that Sequencer hadn't been able to drop yet. Light didn't think it was safe, and probably a smart thing. It wasn't safe over there. There were Ultras in those woods. So we've got that poor Ultras being irradiated. He's like, oh, nobody likes me. And it's true, nobody likes him. He was fat even for an Ultralisk. Everyone else made fun of him. Okay, there's the big old wave of blue going out. That's the, you know, neither side is really hurting each other. There was a Plague that only got one science vessel though. Plagues on science vessels are always fun because then you get to have a hero mutalisk. But there will be no hero mutalisk today. Someone has struck out. I forget what that poem was about. There's a poem that's like that. There will be no blah blah blah. That's about some, you know, great baseball player that... Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Why am I talking about baseball? We've got a better sport going on here. And once again, there was an attack at Light's newly established 3 o'clock. Is that... Does Light have 3 or... Okay, Light has 4 bases. Good. For a second I just saw 3 because the natural kind of blends into the main. And I was concerned for my buddy Light. He's doing a really good job. He's got map control. He's winning the battles, but... If he, you know, if he's behind the... Zerg has 6 bases now, and he's got 4. So, if he can't keep up with the production, eventually he will get overrun. And there comes some Scourge, and some Scourge are not going to kill some science vessels. So, too bad. Those Scourge were just not sneaky enough. They were sneaky, but couldn't quite get it done. I'm surprised we haven't seen more Defiler out. We've seen a couple, but really, they just see... You know, I don't... Okay, there's the swarms. Okay, never mind. I take it back. Good job, So. You're the man. And there goes... okay, wow. There goes a lot of those Terran troops. Looks like the Plagued Marines are going to have to run back to reinforcements because they are just getting eaten on. And so this is sort of what I was talking about, you know? And I'm not saying that, you know, this is what's going to happen, but that was the first time I've really seen that Light have to pull back. Always before, he would just stand his ground and outlast a Zerg. But that time there were enough Zerg that he actually had to fall back and hit some reinforcements that were coming in. So, I mean, don't read too much into that. That could just be a fluke. But a lot of times on games that end up coming down to economy, that's what you'll start seeing. You know, one player will outlast the other, and slowly, they start having to pull back until eventually they're overrun. We'll have to see. You know, Light certainly isn't out of this. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. And he's got more harassment going on. So that's for how, you know, few bases he has compared to So. He's harassing so continuously that it ends up not mattering. You know, So has, you know, 2 bases up on Light, but he never gets both of them operating at the same time, so it ends up not mattering. And speaking of which, there went So's 6th, I think. So Blue is slowly stopped not being allowed to take over the map, and that makes Blue sad. Sad wants to take over the map. Let's make it look like the Earth with 65% oceans. So wants 65% bases. Actually, technically, So wants, you know, all the bases, but you know, you can't always get what you want. Wow, that was horrible. I go through phases. I never sing great, but sometimes I don't sing extremely badly. That time I did, though, so that makes me sad. And here comes some Ultras. That's another thing I've noticed about So. So very often just seems to stream his troops in. You know, there's not any big ball of units that goes rushing in against Light. But there's more swarms, pretty well placed swarms. Let things get in there pretty easily. and that is going to make it a lot harder for Light to hold his position. So Light is having to fall back a little bit, but I'm not going to say that that's a symptom of the fact that I was talking about before, because the problem is he the big reason I have to pull back is because of Swarm. It's not because he doesn't have enough troops there. It's just Swarm is making his troops ineffective, so he's having to pull back. Which can achieve the same result, where you keep making them pull back, eventually you're in their base and eating their buildings. But usually whenever they have to pull back because of Swarm, they just pull back until they kill the invaders and then move forward again. So it ends up you can't really, unless you're just constantly there, constantly reinforcing, you can't piggyback in like that. You keep using Swarms in order to make your way to the front. And there are the irradiated Ultralisks. Looks like this time he's not going to let them sit around irradiated until they die. And so is heading in. Wow. So is heading into an expansion and the main at the same time at Light GG's. That, I know earlier I had talked about the possibility that Light would have to GG because, he didn't have enough bases, but I didn't think it was that dire yet. I thought the game was closer than it looked, because for a while Light was just dominating, and then So started to come back. But I guess Light just looked at it, saw that his, third base was being harassed, and knew that, I think he was down to really one production base, and just realized, I can't survive on one production, when he's got 3. He'll just outproduce me, and already that was happening. That's why So was actually able to get up to his front door at that point. So, good job, So, and SK Telecom takes game 4. Interesting enough, the 2 winning players for SK are Bisu and So, making Fantasy and MVP the losers. Not MVP, best. I don't know why I get those confused, but I do. Probably because they're both named for being really good. But we do have So winning, and that leads us to an ace match. So I will see you in that ace match in just a second.
준비된 어떤 그 저우유저의 힘을 또 보여주네요. 네, 이번 경기에서 어윤수 선수의 1승을 더해주면서 2대1을 만들고 경기는 에이스 결정전으로 이어집니다. 잠시 어떤 선수들이 마지막